All right, so now going to we're going to go through the process of actually making a type of quest. I've been trying to figure out exactly how to do it for this example. So I'm just going to have like some kind of conversation with a person that tells you to go somewhere, and that person is actually going to spawn a set of enemies that you have to defeat, and after that he'll give you the secret key or whatever to a treasure chest that can be unlocked somewhere else in the map. So let's see if we can set this up real quick. So if we go to events, here we have the events for anything that you want in the scene, from stores and things like that to quest. So we're gonna make a new quest. Um, First things first, let's add a flow. So we're gonna say um, test quest, and we're gonna add that to our flow. The flow is actually important for the folder structure for the events. So it will put everything inside of the events folder based on the category and the flow type. So you have to make sure you have these set anytime you make an event for anything. So even if you just have stores, I would make a flow called a flow called Celestial City stores, so that way you can have them all grouped together and organized in your event folder for that given object, well, city. And we're going to call this side quest category, and we're going to have a guy that you talked to initially. So we're going to add a dialogue. And since we're actually going to talk to a person and not have billboard characters on screen like in my other demo example, I'm just going to leave this grayed out here. There will be no left and right cutout billboards for a character. I'm definitely not going to do voice acting right now for this part, but we can come down here and give the character a name. Strange Guy 1. Um, I don't use character emoticons right now, but if you want support, you can actually add your character emoticon to load into your dialogue box like the old school RPGs do. You can put that here and then just add in translate the character image and load that up when you actually execute your dialogue. But we're gonna wait for we're gonna actually wait for the actual input and not auto flow to the next event based on this text. So we're gonna say, hey, you seem strong. I've seen some shady people up by the mansion at the top of the hill. Can you go check it out for me? And here I'm actually going to add a choice option. So here we can add a choice, and we can either say sure, and we say not right now. Make sure these choices are enabled and save. The reason we have to save is because I have to be able to detect the structure for these choices. So they have to be saved in our main stack before I can go in and add the repetitive recursiveness that you can add to choices. So now I'm going to go in here and say, if you say sure, they're going to be like, okay. Just add another dialog box. I keep the previous information so you can keep conversations or remind you what was said before to make modifications or however you want for certain dialogues. So I'm going to say, gee, thanks. Be careful up there. And we're going to add this. And this is where we would enable the next event. But I'm just going to go back real quick because we have no next event to actually enable. So let's go into the other choice option. And we're going to say, I thought you were made of gusto. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And we're going to go back to the main flow. I'm going to save this. I have to give it a name. Quest 1. Because I have no good options to think of right now. I'm going to set this to automatically enabled. And there's no time restriction on this quest. So we're going to save that. So now we have our flow, which is quest, our test flow, we have our flow name, which is test quest, and we have our quest 1. So now we're going to add quest 2, which is going to be in that same flow, and we're going to save this out, make sure it's disabled. I'm just adding the steps in right now so we can actually go and enable different events. So I'm actually going to give these a little bit different name. So quest 2 is going to be the ambush. Quest 1 is kind of the starter. And then quest 3 can actually be getting a reward from that guy. I can't spell. And they'll be getting a reward from the guy. And that should work for that. So now if we go back to starter, we edit this and double click the choice. Sure. And then once we go into sure, after we talk to this guy and accept the quest, then we can go in and enable event. Ambush is now enabled. And go back and save this and save this. So now in our ambush, what we want to do is start a dialogue with this other guy that's up here, or girl, whichever. Strange guy 2. What are you doing here? I never. What are you doing here? I'll get my girls on you. And then from here we can actually spawn an ambush. So let's go to battle system. First we need to actually make something for an ambush. I accidentally canceled all that out and I lost that progress, but there wasn't much to add. So let's go over here to monster groups, and we actually need to make a monster group to spawn as an ambush. So I'm going to have fire sprites, ambush, fire sprite ambush. It's going to spawn anywhere between 1 to 5 sprites. I can leave that there. We're not going to force the level of these monsters that are spawned. I'm going to change the spawn radius kind of small to about 700. so it keeps them pretty close together when they spawn. And I'm going to double click that to add it over here. And I'm going to leave it at that, because you can click this to add it in, you can click here to remove. So I'll just click that to add in, and I'll just leave it at that. Just so you know, this min and max spawn works per monster that's in the group. So if you have 3 monsters in a group, each of those monsters can have a possibility of being spawned 1 to 5 times. Let's save that as the ambush. Going back to the events. We're going to edit the event, put this dialogue that I had in here before that I got rid of. Luckily it was saved, so I can just add that. So what are you doing here? We're going to add a battle, the ambush, and we're going to use what waypoint to use. If I want to spawn this monster at multiple spawn points, sorry about that, I had to sneeze. If I want to spawn this monster at multiple spawn points, I can just say spawn 1 and then delimit it with a comma, and then spawn 2. And then now I can have this group of monsters spawn at any number of spawn points. And if I have any other groups that I want to spawn, I can spawn those at many different spawn points as well. They can overlap spawn points, but it depends on how you want to do it, to be able to do however you want to set up your scene to how they spawn. So we're going to do this and save. So this means now that we need to make sure that we have a spawn point. I'm going to save this. Make sure it's not enabled, because it's going to be enabled by the other event. But we're going to have to make sure that we add 2 spawn points in the level that are spawn 1 and spawn 2. And I'm going to do that now. So this is going to be the mention at the top of the hill. I am going to take a waypoint. And the waypoint, if I can find waypoints, props. And I'm going to have a spawn here and call this spawn 1. And I'm going to have another spawn here and call it spawn 2. And we're going to save that. Come on. I have no idea why it takes so long to save. So we know that's good. Spawn 1 and spawn 2 are made. And I'm actually going to make it to where after the battle, no matter what we are, we're going to teleport back to that guy. So now we want to move the character location to after battle. And for some reason I have a break in the code right now that's telling me something is invalid. Huh, I seem to have an old item still here. I'm actually going to fix that real quick and then come back in the next video.